crispy chicken is from a taco place.
This crispy chicken is from a taco place? The taco place? Taco place. It comes in a burrito, too?
From your taco place, it's also a chicken place that's also a taco place.
Check out the all-new Blue and Orange store at the Boise State Hall of Fame. The Blue and Orange store has your best game day gear. We're talking jerseys, hats, bumper stickers, car flags, more than 4,000 hats on the hat wall. If you want the best Boise State gear, make sure you check out the Blue and Orange store online at theblueandorangestore.com or the all-new Blue and Orange store down at the Boise State Allen Noble Hall of Fame.
It's the fall kickoff sale at Lithia Ford of Boise. It's the best time to trade in and trade up to a new Ford truck or SUV with the room to haul your payload or playload. Visit Lithia Ford of Boise, where Ford begins in Idaho.
Bronco fans, the new Boise State trading cars are here, and you can only get them at Jackson's.
Start collecting them today.
Jackson's, let's go!
And final blade of grass. Done. And done. Who knew it'd take 2,007 man-hours to paint 47,962,053 blades of grass? Smells like game day. Whoa, it's not dry yet.
Welcome to the Lithia Ford of Boise Pregame Show from Bronco Nation News. Game time is approaching, and we're getting you ready with the latest pregame news, interviews, analysis, and more from BNN. Have a pregame score prediction or comment? Let us know in the ICCU YouTube chat, or leave us a message on the Signature Roofing voice box at speakpipe.com/BNN. The BNN Pregame Show is presented by Lithia Ford of Boise. Lithia Ford of Boise is a proud sponsor of Boise State Athletics and proud to support our student athletes through exciting NIL partnerships. From the blue turf to wherever life takes you, Lithia Ford of Boise is here to get you there. Lithia Ford of Boise, where Ford begins in Idaho. The title sponsor of Bronco Nation News is RowPaint.com, the official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics. For all your painting needs, check out RowPaint.com. Now let's head out and join five-time NSMA Idaho Sports Writer of the Year, BJ Rains, for the Lithia Ford of Boise pregame show on Bronco Nation News.
Good evening, Bronco Nation. Welcome to downtown Boise, the Idaho Central Arena. Beautiful day outside, and there's going to be a basketball inside here as the Boise State basketball team kicks off the 2025-2026 season with an exhibition game against the arch rival Idaho Vandals. Again, here at the Idaho Central Arena. We are about an hour away from tip-off. Thanks for joining us to kick off Boise State basketball season with us high atop the Idaho Central Arena. Happy to be back for another year of pregame, postgame shows for Boise State basketball, and back for another year with Abe Jackson. Your agent was a little tough negotiator this year, but we got it done.
We got it done, of course.
Another year of pregame, postgame appearances, along with voice of the Broncos, Bob Beeler. I guess the second voice of the Broncos, Abe Jackson on the radio side. Appreciate you doing this again, man. It's going to be a fun year covering this team.
It really is. A lot of question marks around this team, and I'm sure you're going to cover some of that when we're talking here. But it just seems like maybe a month ago that they were coming home from the Crown in Vegas. But basketball season is upon us, and I'm ready to get after it again.
Going to be a lot of fun, man. And we'll get to the Idaho matchup here in a while. A little bit of news right off the top. Dylan Andrews, transfer point guard from UCLA. I know everybody's so excited to see the newcomers, whether it's Spencer Aarons, a freshman, or Dylan, or obviously Drew Fielder from Georgetown. But Dylan Andrews, unfortunately dealing with a minor injury. He's not going to play tonight.
No, and I really think that if there's really anything that's bothering a player in this game, you're not going to put him out there. It's 2 weeks before the regular season really starts. It's considered an exhibition game. There's going to be some different rules that they follow in this game. So if there's anything bothering a player, I don't fault him for not playing at all.
By the way, Abe Jackson would have loved these rules. There's no fouling out. I don't know how much defense you played back in the day anyway.
There's got to be a rule. There's got to be a rule if it's toward like a 1 or 2 point game at the end, that you just can't have the same person foul 15 times to keep stopping the clock. But we'll see how it goes.
But they are going to have, like you said, no foul outs. They want to let guys get the normal minutes they were going to get, and you don't want 2 ticky-tack fouls in the first minute of the game to impact this. We do have a pretty veteran officiating crew. Those guys are ready to get their money and get their season started. Michael Irving and Kevin Brill are among 2 of the officials tonight, but they don't want the officials to be the story tonight. Let the guys get their minutes, and they will have a fifth quarter, so to speak, an extra 10-minute quarter at the end. So some of the walk-ons and guys that didn't get to play as much get some time in a game like this as well.
Yeah, and I think what will be interesting to look for is toward the end of the game, how does the rotation kind of take place? I know we are weeks away, probably even months away from having a solid rotation. Sometimes we do see Coach Rice go through many, many different starting rotations before maybe the midpoint of the season. But if it's a close game toward the end, I mean, how do those rotations look? Do you start, maybe put in your starters a little bit more and start playing for the win of this game, even though it's an exhibition game and the rules are a little bit different? I think the competitiveness will come out.
Hope you can hear us okay, see us okay. I'm not seeing any you're muted or any messages in the chat, so it wouldn't be a first game if something didn't go wrong.
Exhibition for you, BJ.
Yes, we are high atop, as you said. A unique vantage point for us. You, of course, Abe, will be courtside down there with Bob Beeler, but they do have the media in this arena. The one I actually don't mind, except for this bar right here. It's kind of like right, if you're sitting down, it's like right in the way, so I end up standing for most of this game. Now, there is a bar behind us. Leon Rice joked about maybe putting his credit card down for the media here in this game, but it doesn't seem like any of the taps are turned
BJ,
on.
how many games have we done in this building?
Several.
4 or 5.
Yes.
That bar has never been open.
Now, we may need Nathan.
Our post game would be so much better.
I might get you to stick around a little longer if
was open.
Well, there are some taps right there. We can check and see if maybe they're turned on. But we could get Abe to stick around for maybe a 90-minute post game show if we
taking all the questions, anything you want to talk about.
But Abe, I know the score is secondary tonight. Like you said, certainly you want to win. They should win. I mean, Idaho's ranked like 243rd or something at KenPom. They're essentially Air Force, and when it comes to the KenPom rankings, so it's not a game that should be close tonight. But it's not necessarily where you're going to see 35 minutes from Javen Buchanan or Andrew Meadow tonight. They want to get some different guys some minutes, see some different rotations, see who plays well with who. Well, what are you looking for? What do you think Boise State's looking for in a game like this?
Well, I want to see really kind of who takes over as the go-to guy. And I know we're really early in the season. I mean, 2 weeks away from the real start of the season. But you talk about go-to guys the last 5 years. You had Marcus Shaver and Abu Kijab. And then you had 4 years of Tyson Degenhart. You throw in some Max Rice in there and some other guys who could really knock down shots. They're not here anymore. I mean, we got 3 seniors that left last year that were really go-to guys. Omar Moore his junior year, but then you got the guard, Tyson, and I'm spacing the name. Cardenas. Yeah, Cardenas and Tyson were definitely go-to guys. So who's going to be that person this year? You have Meadow coming back, who had flashes last year. Carmichael, who had a great second half of the season because he redshirted for pretty much the first half. And then Bowie and Buchanan as well. And how do you fit the new guys in? I'm going to be looking forward to the beginning of this season in this game. Who's going to be that guy? Who's going to be the go-to guy that we've had for the last 5 years or so?
Now, you see the Broncos down there on the court warming up. They're going with the new orange retro jerseys, Boise and State on the front. I mean, those were jerseys similar to what you wore back in the day?
Yeah, I think so, a little bit. Our jerseys had Boise across the chest, and then State actually went down the legs.
Okay, all right. So I think the Matt Boucher era, so they were just after you maybe? Or
so
what?
I'm way back in the day then.
I was going to say just after you.
I'm
but
double back in the day. I like.
Well, these are retro uniforms. It kind of makes sense against Idaho, though. First time in 11 years. Did you ever play Idaho back in the day?
Oh, yeah. We played them every year.
Okay, tell us about those matchups.
You know, back then it was a game that you look forward to. They were great crowds. And I will say, since I played, really, I mean, basketball has taken such a huge step up, right? I was 99 to 02. Now we're over 20 years past it. Basketball here at Boise State has just has elevated itself just so much that the big game isn't really U of I anymore, right? And so that's what's also going to be interesting. A guy like me who played against University of Idaho, this is going to be a great game. I like watching these two jerseys out on the floor, but is it a big game to the city of Boise? I mean, do they, for lack of a better word, do they care anymore? I mean, Boise State and Idaho haven't played in basketball or football in over a decade, even more than or close to 2 decades, I think, in football. So does Boise care? Does it even matter to them anymore? As a player who used to play against Idaho, I'm looking forward to it, though.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. Again, you see the Broncos on the court warming up. And Abe, we don't know much about Idaho. I mean, they got 4 local players. Oahe High School has a player. They got 4 guys and maybe multiple starters that are from the Treasure Valley as well, or Idaho at least. What do you make from the Idaho side of things, them getting a chance even in an exhibition to show how they stack up against the best Division I team in the state?
Well, for local guys, it's an exciting game. Even though they haven't played or really maybe even grown up seeing Boise State and Idaho play against each other in basketball, it's always around, right? University of Idaho, Boise State, they're the 2 main universities, apologies to Idaho State, the 2 main universities in Idaho. And so you hear about the rivalries and maybe what they used to be if you grew up in Idaho or grew up in Boise. So I think for the local players on really either team, it's going to be something that's a little bit special.
Okay, we only have you for another minute or so, but just this team, high expectations yet again, trying to get back to the tournament. What excites you most when you think about this roster?
Well, let's talk about expectations for a second. I mean, this is the first time in 5 or 6 years where I don't know what the expectations are. I mean, I know the expectations are to win and to go to the NCAA tournament, but with Tyson for 4 years and Kejab and Shaver the year before that when they won the Mountain West tournament, I mean, the expectations were very high every year, and they're going to be high this year. I think there's just more of a question mark. There's just a question mark of how is this team going to really fit together? But I'm looking forward to getting the season started. It starts tonight in a exhibition game, but to see who really steps up, who's going to be the guys, not only that just takes the shots, but the guys in the huddle, the guys who are talking out on the floor, the guys who are getting the other players to rally around them like some of the seniors did the last few years.
Well, excited. It's going to be a lot of fun, and they're already very active in the chat. Our first Abe the Babe message of the season.
Let's
so
go.
They're back and ready to go. Abe, we'll be listening in 15 minutes or so. You and Bob Beeler, is it 670 tonight?
Yep.
Full pregame, full game. I think it's on like channel 7 plus or something, but turn that down. Listen to Bob and Abe as usual. And then time permitting, hopefully we can get you a giant. Bob, Abe's got a big night, Friday night, downtown Boise, but if we can get you to stick around for a few minutes, love to catch up post-game.
All right. Yep. Sounds good. Thanks,
Abe Jackson, appreciate you, man. Thank you for joining us. Hey, we'll thank a couple of sponsors here. We're back in 30 seconds on Bronco Nation News.
And final blade of grass. Done. And done. Who knew it'd take 2,007 man-hours to paint 47,962,053 blades of grass? Smells like game day. Whoa, it's not dry yet.
All right, the Idaho Central Arena is already 0 for 1. They actually gave us free sodas here, but apparently there's no diet. I guess we get water at least, but our man Sean Goodwin from the Idaho Statesman over there on the case trying to get us some water. But we have traded out 1 star for another. Nathan Carroll jumping in now on our pregame show here. We are high atop Idaho Central Arena. This is your first media experience, I believe, here at Idaho Central Arena. What do you think?
I'm short of breath. We're up here. It's high up here.
Sean
on the
Goodwin,
third
Idaho
floor.
Statesman coming through. Appreciate the water, Sean.
Yeah, we're up here. Yeah, you said you're right. It's pretty high, and yeah, we're short of breath. We are up here, but looking forward to it. Should be a fun basketball game. I'm stoked for basketball season, man. It's weird to be so deep into football season. 3-4 articles a week coming out.
By the way, I'm going to lower the camera a little bit because neither one of us are quite as tall as Abe Jackson.
Abe's got to be 6'7", 6'8". I'm not quite there, but
sorry I cut you off.
No, you're good.
We're knee deep in football coverage. Now we get some basketball.
And now we get some basketball. I mentioned it on Twitter. Like, this is going to be the busy time of year for us. It seems like every night there's something going on, but it's the most fun too, right? Got football season going on, right? I'm sure fans will have plenty to say about the UNLV game tomorrow, but for tonight, for one night only in October, it is basketball season. We get to see the Broncos go up against Idaho, and I'm looking forward to it. I mean, you alluded to it earlier. A lot of storylines, a lot of new players, a lot I'm interested in seeing tonight for sure.
Shout out Mateo, our intern, doing a great job sending us some footage from the court. We're going to be continuing to play that as we get you set. He's kind of moving around the arena, getting some sights and sounds, and is going to keep just texting me videos, and we'll get him up on the show here when we can. But you see the court behind us, 41 minutes. They overpriced the tickets, I'm not going to lie, so that the crowd's not sold out like I know Leon and some of them were hoping it would be. It'll be a nice crowd tonight. I think probably 60% full or so. I mean, the whole bottom level, I believe, is mostly sold. On the sides and the lower level, it's actually a great viewpoint. Upper level on the behind the basket, it's a little tough. It's a little further away from the court with the hockey setup, but they did today lower some tickets to like $15, and I think that helped them sell a few hundred more maybe. So we'll have a decent crowd, not a sellout, but I mean, any crowd's better than nothing because typically these kind of games, Boise State does the secret scrimmage, which they do have next week against the University of Washington. They will travel to Seattle, get a mock road game in, and play them in a private scrimmage. Seattle, or the Huskies, came to Boise last year, so they're going to return the favor and go up there. But we do get an opportunity to see this team in action. Typically, Nathan, it's been the opening game of the season where it counts.
Yep.
The first time that we see them and the first time they're in front of lights and fans and popcorn popping. And I mean, it's I think a good opportunity for these guys to get their feet wet, get some of the jitters of fans and a real game out of the way ahead of the start to the season.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm sure these guys love that it's no longer a secret scrimmage to open the season. You get a chance to to play in front of fans, and it's going to feel more like a game. It's probably going to translate more to what games will end up looking like. And, for tonight, I know Abe talked about it. You're not going to get 35 minutes of Javen Buchanan and Andrew Meadow, but if you're a fan of Boise State basketball, you get to see, I mean, you got obviously no Dylan Andrews tonight, but you get to see Drew Fielder. You get to see the 5 freshmen who you haven't seen in action before tonight. So if you're a fan of Boise State basketball, absolutely, what a great event. What a great time to be a fan of college basketball, right? I know I saw a comment from I can't remember which coach it was, but one of the coaches was saying, normally they start practices on October 15th, and here they are, it's October 17th, and you've got a game in front of real fans. How much college basketball has changed in the past 15, 20 years. And if you're a coach, if you're a player, maybe not the best, but if you're a fan, like I think it's the absolute best. We're getting basketball season early, running all the way through April. It's great.
Shout out to the Buchanan family. I know Javen's parents are watching on the chat here, so appreciate them. You just saw him with the nice layup there. This is a look of the Broncos warming up on the court here again, going with the new retro kind of orange uniforms. And I am very curious to watch these post players tonight because a guy like Dominic Parolin didn't get a chance at all last year with him redshirting to see him play. Ethan Lathan, a guy that I'm very excited about and intrigued about. And, of course, Spencer Aarons, the freshman. So we could go down the line, and we will. But I think for me, what some of these center/inside post players look like, we mentioned Drew Fielder right there. Certainly excited for him as well. But Lathan and Parolin, 2 returners that redshirted last year, both those guys, I'm excited to see what the Broncos have in them.
Yeah, absolutely. And you think back to last year's team, right? 4 guys played the big at certain moments. Tyson Dagenhart is gone. Dylan Anderson is gone. Emmanuel Ugbo is gone. Omar Stanley is gone. It's an entirely new room there at the 5. So really excited to see all those newcomers. I think Drew Fielder's likely going to start. I think the expectation is he's going to be the guy. Obviously, a lot of D1 experience, but yeah, Ethan Lathan's a really interesting prospect. I wrote an article today about the 5 freshmen on this team and included Ethan Lathan. He's a redshirt freshman, but Bronco Nation hasn't seen him. The skinny on him coming out of high school was immense upside, but it has to be developed, right? He needs to weight on his body. He needs to work a little bit on some of the offensive game. A lot of the scouts really liked what he showed defensively as a shot blocker. I'm really curious. I think we bank on Drew Fielder getting 20, 25 minutes a night at least. Who's getting those backup 5 minutes? Is it Dominic Parolin, who came in from Lehigh and redshirted last year? Is it Ethan Lathan, immense upside and redshirted last year? Or maybe Spencer Aarons? At 247, we had Spencer Aarons listed at 6'8" last year coming out of high school. He gets to campus. We got to go to that first practice. I said, holy cow. This kid's not 6'8". He's dang near as tall as Drew Fielder. He's probably all of 6'10". He's listed at 230 pounds. He looks like it. I mean, if you told Spencer Aarons was an 18-year-old, a 19-year-old, I would not believe you. He looks like a grown man. And I think there's a chance that they might do some small ball 5 stuff with him, similar to what they did with Tyson Dagenhart last year. Very, very interested to see if Drew Fielder gets 25 minutes a night, who's filling the other 15 for the backup bigs this year.
Yeah, and Spencer Aarons is a guy that can shoot from the outside, as can Drew Fielder. So, I mean, both those guys, we watched in practice last week. They have the ability to shoot the 3 ball. We saw in the international summer series for Spencer Aarons, he was pretty impressive from the outside. So Leon Rice, he's always like the 5-man that can shoot. And I think that the Fielder Aarons combo, and again, some of those are going to be in the 4. Some of those minutes could spill over with Buchanan. I mean, they're going to have they've always liked the positionless basketball. And I think that 3, 4, 5 spots, and even the 2 spots in some cases, are all going to kind of be interchangeable this year.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this team's got way more versatility than last year's team, right? You kind of had to run Alvaro Cardenas at the 1. There really wasn't a backup point guard. Julian Bowie played a little bit of that. I think they want to play him a little bit more off ball this year. That's where he was at his best last season because he is a really good spot-up, knockdown shooter. And last year, with some of the struggles with Emmanuel Ugbo and Omar Stanley and Dylan Anderson, they thought that they had a big at any point in time, and all 3 of those guys underwhelmed, and you end up playing Tyson at the 5 nearly half the time, or I think it was a third of the time technically by season's end. You pretty much were kind of stuck last year. And we wrote about that in the defense article, right? Like, you had to have Alvaro Cardenas at the 1, and he wasn't the best defensively. You kind of had to play Tyson at the 5 offensively, but Tyson doesn't necessarily hold up the best against bigs. This year's team has so much more versatility. Spencer Aarons, a guy who can play a 5, play at the 4, potentially even play at the 3 if they feel like they can go Fielder at the 4 and Lathan at the 5, right? You've got a lot of options in there. It's just going to come down to who's ready to play big-time D1 minutes, right? Because at the end of the day, we know Drew Fielder. Drew Fielder is good. He's going to be able to get minutes. But between Lathan, between Parolin, and between Aarons, those are 3 guys who haven't played at the Mountain West level before. We don't know what they'll look like. And, Idaho's not Mountain West level. I don't think we'll learn too much about it tonight, but I think we'll get a good glimpse of what Leon's seeing, right? I don't think Leon's going to play Dominic Parolin with the starters unless he sees Dominic Parolin as a potential guy who could be in that rotation. So the big men lineup, very intriguing to me, and Spencer Aarons in particular. I mean, was on the U19 World Cup with Canada, wrote about him in the article today, 43% from 3, and I believe 5 threes per game. That's a big man who can light it up from deep. Yeah. And
he's got a quick shot too, so he's not going to get a lot of his shots blocked.
Well, and he's got the Larry Bird thing. He's not shooting from here. He's way up here. I don't know if they can see it. He's way up here. Yeah. And so, he's not going to get many shots blocked. The first time you see him shoot tonight, some of you might be saying, that's a weird-looking jumper. Is he supposed to be? Yes, he can knock those down. It may look a little strange to some of you guys, but he can certainly hit it.
Another storyline, obviously, and again, my name's BJ Rains. This is Nathan Carroll. This is the Lithia Ford Boise pregame show, getting you set for Boise State basketball against the University of Idaho in an exhibition game tonight. It'll be starting at 7 o'clock. I believe it is on the I don't know if it's on KTVB 7, but it's on at least some version of their app or the digital +2 channel. Just check all the various KTVB channels, and it is streaming on TV somewhere. Bob and Abe have the full call on the radio as well, and we'll have the post-game show, as always, the Jackson's post-game show, giving you our thoughts and some highlights and things post-game. But another storyline, Nathan, is the point guard spot, and obviously bringing Dylan Andrews in, a little bit of a bummer that he's going to be out tonight, but that does give us a chance, I think, to see some extended minutes from a freshman that they really, really like. They call him AG. His name is Aginaldo Nato. Mm-hmm. I can get the Nato part. I can't get the – I'm still working on the first name. We're just going to call him AG because that's what everybody calls him. And he's a very – he was a guy that they were on for a long time.
Yep.
They really, really liked him. I mean, David Moats deserves a lot of credit, no longer here, for bringing Nato in. And he's a guy that they really like and think has a very, very bright future here as a backup point guard. I think he's going to get minutes right away as a freshman, probably in that 10 to 15 minute a game range potentially, as when Dylan Andrews is off the court. Julian Bowie can play some point guard as well, but certainly with no Dylan Andrews tonight, I think Nato is going to get some serious minutes, which I think is going to be good for him and cool for Bronco Nation to see where he's at.
Yeah, obviously disappointing about Andrews. I think you put it on Twitter. Minor injury. I don't think it's something that's going to hold him out a significant period of time from what we've heard, but really excited in NATO, and you said they were on him for a long time. I think it was this time last year that David Moats was saying, there's this kid out of Angola that we like, and we're hoping we can really get. And here he is on campus. Now, When I talked about him in the article, it's hard to find film on him, right? Coming from Angola, there's not a lot of film, and the film that is there is pretty overwhelming. Like he looks like Russell Westbrook compared to a lot of the competition. It's not the highest level. But we got to see him in practice, was it last week, 2 weeks ago, and he looked ahead of schedule from what you'd expect from maybe a more raw athletic point guard coming from Angola. And I'm really excited to see what he has in store tonight. He's probably going to play 25, 30 minutes, you'd expect. And I'm really excited to see what they have in him because, yeah, right now it's kind of Dylan Andrews at the one, and they don't really have another guy other than Meadow on the roster. Like I said earlier, they think Bowie can do combo guard stuff, but I think they like him best as an off-guard guy. And, again, that's where he was at his best last year. So really excited to see what Meadow brings. The thing I'm most interested is how D1 ready is the defense, right? The first step, the athleticism, it looks like it's there. The jump shot's probably going to need a little bit of work. But if he can be good defensively right away, I think Leon Rice and the staff is going to feel comfortable giving him 8, 10, 12 minutes a game if he can hold up on the defensive end of the floor.
And I want to talk about some of the other returning players and where they can take that next step in a minute. But another storyline that you covered, again, BroncoNationNews.com. Go subscribe if you haven't. $7 a month right now for our 30% off deal. But Nathan's doing kind of a 10-part series that'll finish up right when the regular season gets going of storylines and questions kind of about this team heading into the season. And another big one's the defense, which in the years they made the tournament was a top 30 level KenPom defense. And the metrics say, the numbers say, if you finish in the top 30 at KenPom, you're pretty much going to be an NCAA tournament team. Boise State dropped to 70th at KenPom last year, and they missed the tournament. So the defense, where are you looking at there tonight and going into the season?
Yeah, well, I mentioned it a little bit earlier, but there were some problem points last year. Alvaro Cardenas, exceptional point guard, best passer in school history, was not the best defensively. And Boise State got eaten up by some more athletic guards. The first game that comes to mind is the San Francisco game, right? Those guards were able to go off. They took advantage of Cardenas early. I think Dylan Andrews not going to play tonight, but from what we've seen at UCLA, a better defensive guard. So in theory, that should elevate the point of attack defense. And then the big man, I talked about it earlier. When you had Omar Stanley on the floor, the defense was really good. The issue was Omar Stanley had trouble staying on the floor, in part because of some turnover issues, in part because of just foul trouble. And so they played a lot of Tyson Degenhardt at the 5. If you remember back to that Utah State game where Utah State shot 81% in the second half, almost all of that was with Tyson at the 5. As great as Tyson was, and he was a very good team context defender, he doesn't provide much rim protection. So you had issues at point of attack. You had issues protecting the rim last year. That's going to make you a defense that isn't necessarily going to be feared. Combine that with the fact that they really didn't have a wing stopper last year. Andrew Meadow, RJ Keene, Javen Buchanan, those guys were fine defensively. But when you need somebody who can just guard Kobe Sanders for 30 minutes a night, they didn't have that guy, right? I think Javen Buchanan being healthy, right? We heard in the offseason that he had both a hip injury as well as, I believe, a herniated disc in his back. Sounds like that's all good to go. Him being healthy, I think, should absolutely help the defense on the perimeter. Dylan Andrews should help the defense at the point of attack. And then Drew Fielder, we've seen at Georgetown, he's a good quality defender. Now, he's not going to be a guy who's blocking 2 shots a night. He's not that type of defender, but he's going to be able to give real rim pressure for these guys. And even beyond that, what do we see out of Ethan Lathan? What do we see out of Dominic Pearlin? Can those be guys that elevate the defense? As I look at this team, I do think the defense improves. I'm fairly confident that this team will be better defensively than they were last year. The question then goes to the offensive side of the ball, right?
I think Lathan could really be a rim protector that they really have been missing. I mean, they haven't had a lot of those just real big, high-level shot blockers. And Lathan is tall and has really long arms. I think that could be a benefit down in the paint.
Yeah, absolutely. If he's going to be a part of the lineup, it's going to be his shot blocking ability, no doubt about it. And look, it's never been an identity of Leon Rice's teams. If you look at their block rates historically in KenPom, they've rarely ever been that high in terms of rim protection. He would prefer to play an offensive big who can space the floor than have an elite shot blocker. But that's the thing with Ethan Lathan is there is a jump shot there, right? And if they believe he can be a good rim protector who can block shots for you, if enough of the offensive game has come along, if enough of the weight stuff has come along, he could be a big type contributor on this team that can do a little bit of both, protect the rim and knock down threes on the offensive side of the floor. So we'll see with Lathan. I think he's absolutely one of the 2 or 3 guys that you're most interested to see because there's just so much unknown with a guy like him. And if he's able to hit, right? So many times the question with these young guys with these transfers is, well, can they hit? If Ethan Lathan hits, he brings something to this team that no one else in this roster really brings at this point.
All right, Andrew Meadow, a guy that first team All Mountain West. I would expect when they announce it next week, he was first team that I had at Lindy's Magazine. He's the second leading returning scorer, I believe, in the Mountain West Conference.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know who's first?
Is it Falslev at Utah State?
Yes, it is. I believe so.
Yeah,
and I should know it. I have my Lindy's Magazine right over there. If Mateo can grab it for me in that backpack, but
yeah, I think it's Falslev though.
Yeah. So Andrew Meadow finished last season really strong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he finished last season really well, and I think the last 15 games upped his scoring production by a big margin. And so if he can carry over what he did in terms of a scoring standpoint there, later in the season to this year, I think that would be massive for this team because they're going to need some scoring. And I don't know who leads this team in scoring. It could be Javen Buchanan. It could be Andrew Meadow. But Andrew Meadow and his continued improvement to become one of the best players in this league, I think would be huge for the team this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think with Andrew Meadow, I'm curious to see what his role ends up looking like this year. Because where Andrew Meadow was at his best last year was when he didn't have to be the offensive initiator. Where Andrew Meadow is genuinely elite. He's one of the best I've seen at drawing contact, finishing around the rim, and attacking closeouts, right? So where he was so good is you get Alvaro Cardenas drawing in the defense, kick it out to Andrew Meadow. Meadow's in the wing. He's either able to put up a three or attack a closeout and get to the rim. How much does his offensive skill set change going into this season? Is he going to be a guy who is, again, more of a tertiary off-ball player, or is he going to take more of an on-ball role this season? Are they going to put the ball in his hands and say, go beat your guy off the dribble, get to the rim, maybe do even a little bit more playmaking? I mean, we talked about it last year. Andrew Meadow, I think, had a stretch of 16 games where he had 1 assist. That wasn't in his skill set last year. So very, very interested to see what Andrew Meadow does. The big thing I want to see about Andrew Meadow, it's not on-ball creation. It's not playmaking. The big thing I want to see is I want to see that three-point percentage tick up. He was the team's best three-point shooter last season. I believe he shot 35% from three, which is D1 average. By definition, he was a D1 average shooter. He needs to be a good shooter. He needs to be shooting 37, 38, 39% for this team. There was a lot of talk last year about the 50,000 shots he put up at the offseason. You guys asked him about it this year. Hey, did you put up another 50,000? He said it was probably 10,000, but he worked on a lot more realistic in-game shots, off movement, a lot more when he's tired, a lot less just standing still and putting it up. I think he needs to elevate that three-point number, even if he's not scoring 16, 17 points per game, even if he's not doing it all with the ball in his hands, playmaking for others. I want to see the three-point shooting improve from Andrew Meadow.
And I think a big key for me how good this team can be is what do you get from Pearson Carmichael? I mean, here's the Lindy's College Basketball Magazine. I did the Mountain West stuff, but I had nothing to do with like who they pick for the cover and all that. And this is the regional cover. It's the Northwest cover, but the Boise State player they choose to put on the cover is Pearson Carmichael, not Andrew Meadow or any of these other guys. And so obviously burned the red shirt in January, started I think 12 games or something. He had that flurry in one of the Crown Tournament games where he had a couple threes right in a row. Maybe that was against Nebraska, I think, in the semifinal game. But what do they get from Pearson Carmichael for me as a huge storyline?
Yeah, and that's another guy who last year has the looks of a great shooter, but didn't necessarily shoot that well, right? I believe he shot 32% from three last year, again, below D1 average. You want to see that kick up because he has the form of a really great shooter. And I think with Peanut Carmichael, you had a lot of, just call it freshman moments last year. I immediately think of the UNLV game where it's turnover, foul, turnover on 3 straight possessions, and trying to find a way to, get him more involved, but in a way that he's more comfortable with. I think they sorted through at the end of last year. This year, I think he's good. He has the experience. He's played before. What does his role look like? And this staff, I know, thinks really highly of him. I talked to one staff member, said, hey, if you had to put money on it, who do you think the leading scorer is? They said probably Andrew Meadow or Peanut Carmichael, not even Javen Buchanan, right? They have a lot of faith in Peanut Carmichael. One thing I noticed in the practice that we went to, he looks bigger to me. He looks like he's added a little bit of muscle. Last year at times, he did look physically like a freshman, right? He was athletic, but wasn't always holding up defensively. I think he could be due for a monster season. He could be the guy who is first-team All-Mountain West at the end of the year, scoring 16, 17 points per game. And that's where, if he can become that guy, you start to talk about this. Okay, could this be an NCAA tournament team or even a team that's winning NCAA tournament games?
If you're getting 15-plus points out of Meadow and Carmichael, I mean, Javen Buchanan was the next guy I was going to ask you about. Yeah. He played. His family's in the chat here, so I know they're watching. He played, quietly with some injuries last year, had some off-season surgeries, and he's apparently in a much better spot. And, I mean, there's some people that think that he could play at a Mountain West Player of the Year type candidate with just the skill set that he has in his second year at this level. Javen Buchanan, we talked last year how him and Tyson Degenhart, similar players. Mm-hmm. Sometimes their styles didn't always mesh when they were on the court together. But we saw Javen Buchanan literally take over games, in the Cayman Islands last year, scoring 28 in some of those games. I mean, Javen Buchanan can score from all three levels. Javen Buchanan, for me, is a guy that if he's healthy, could just have a monster season, which, again, could mean huge things for this team.
Yeah, I've got a tweet from last November where I just said Javen Buchanan's All Mountain West next year. Book it right now. And I believe that still fully. If we're talking about, of the returning guys, who's the breakout guy, who's most likely to be first-team All Mountain West, my bet's Javen Buchanan. He is so smooth as a scorer. Just the ability to get by defenders. His pacing is really, really good. He stops and starts well. He's got a good-looking jumper. The issue with Javen last year was consistency. We came in, Javen Buchanan would have a 20-point game. We're like, all right, Javen Buchanan, he's going to be one of the guys for this offense this year. And then you turn around the next game and he scores 2 points. And it's like, okay, what's going on? You looked so good last game. Come to find out in the offseason, he has these significant injuries that he was playing through. And I think that probably factored a lot into the consistency or inconsistency, I should say, from last season. I think there was probably days he felt really good with the hip and with the back and played well, and probably days where he didn't feel as good, and it showed up on the floor. Javen Buchanan, when he's at his best, I think he's the best isolation scorer on this team. I think he's a smart playmaker, and I think he's the best wing defender on this team. As long as Javen Buchanan is healthy, he's my pick to be first-team All-Mountain West on this team. I think he is immensely, immensely talented, and I think we're going to see a really big year from Javen Buchanan. That's my guy. I'm a believer in his game and what he can bring to the table. And that's where, if you put a gun to my head and made me kind of guess where all this lays out, I think Buchanan's going to be the All-Mountain West guy. I think Andrew Meadow probably has a similar role to last season, where it's a lot of off-ball, attack closeouts, hit corner threes, and Peanut really is, for me, the wild card. Is he going to be 10-point per game, kind of gives you a third option on the offense, or is he going to be somebody who can be a primary on-ball scorer that does some off-ball movement stuff as well next to Javen Buchanan? But Javen Buchanan, absolutely, for me, I think he's the key to this team. Incredible wing defender. I think he's very good offensively. That's Javen Buchanan, for me, is the guy to watch this season without a doubt.
I'll tell you what, we're about 18 minutes from tip-off. There's a nice crowd coming in here. I know they said there was a lot of talk about it not being sold out and all that, but it's going to have a nice feel here. I mean, I tell you what, it's the lower level is going to be pretty much full. The upper level is going to have some folks on the two main sections over there. I mean, this is like I said, certainly better than playing with no fans.
Have you done a Big Sky tournament game in here before?
I have been here for the Big Sky. I've been here when Boise State's played Washington State and some of those games.
When this place gets going, it gets going. And something about the way the arena, I guess, is built, even if there's only 4,000 fans in here, you're going to get engaged. There's an infectious atmosphere here at Idaho Central Arena. So I think it's going to be a good crowd. I think it's going to be an engaged crowd. I think it's one of those things that you see exhibition, and then all of a sudden you get Boise State and Idaho alumni in the same building, and all of a sudden the exhibition is going to wear off for the fans. They're going to get engaged. They're going to want to see their team wins. I think we'll have a good little crowd here today, without a doubt.
No doubt. It's a Friday night. It start to a big weekend. Boise State football tomorrow, and I mean, this is looks like a nice crowd dialing in. We were the fans took some heat for and it's certainly not going to be full. Like I said, you're probably looking at 60-65%. The upper level in particular will have a lot of open seats, but the lower level is going to be pretty full. And like I said, I know it's Idaho. I don't really know if that would have mattered. I mean, maybe there'll be some Vandal fans, it looks like here, but it is definitely, I would say, 95% Boise State fans, would you say, to this point?
Yeah, I'd maybe go 90. We've got a couple of little pockets of Idaho fans back over here in this section, but definitely a very Boise State heavy crowd. I think part of the issue is Idaho's colors. if they're not wearing yellow, if they're just wearing black, and it can be hard to tell, all right, are you here for Idaho or are you here for Boise State? Because a lot of Boise State fans wearing black as well. But, yeah, we've got some little Idaho pockets. I think over to our right it looks like is where all the Idaho fans are. And then over to the left, it's pretty much entirely Boise State fans. But
it is a unique arena for basketball. I mean, it's one of those smaller arenas. They have the suites up there. There's the concourse is pretty low. I mean, it's obviously a hockey arena. It's a unique venue for basketball.
Yeah, like I said, I've done a couple of the Big Sky tournament games here. I think it's a very fun, interactive place to be able to come and watch a basketball game. It's such an intimate crowd, and we're starting to see this now in college basketball where teams are actually downsizing their arenas because they'd rather play in front of 6,000, 7,000 people in a really intimate atmosphere. Obviously, future Pac-12 opponent Gonzaga and the Kennel has been like that for years. I know Baylor in the Big 12 where – you're an alumni of a Big 12 school. Baylor's down at I think 6,000 or 7,000 now. So I really enjoy it. I think it's going to be a really fun night, fun atmosphere today. So I think these games they do here are smart, and being able to get a good not necessarily a good opponent, but a good opponent for Bronco Nation in Idaho, especially for an exhibition game. I think it makes a lot of sense. And yeah, like you said, crowd's filing in nicely.
Yeah, it should be fun. And again, we'll have some highlights. We'll have post-game interviews, post-game analysis, reaction. We'll have Nathan. We'll have Abe Jackson post-game and really get after this. And, we'll have a lot of thoughts. Our first chance to see a lot of these guys in person. I asked Abe this as we kind of sum all this up, all this talk on the defense and the players and what, in the 40-minute game tonight, and then I guess in the extra 10 minutes too with this extra quarter they're doing, just what do you want – what did you come here tonight as a media member, as an alum, as someone that follows this team? Like, what did you come here tonight wanting to see? What do you hope you see? I mean, I guess aside from a loss and them shooting 25%, I don't think we're going to leave here with a lot of, negative thoughts about this team. But what would really make you leave here, heading for the bars on 6th Street or wherever you're headed after this?
Home. I've got 2 kids, BJ. I've got 2 kids. I'm heading home.
Yes. And I got to be up, leaving my house by 9 a.m. tomorrow for the pregame show. But just what would make you feel good about this team leaving here tonight? Yeah,
the big thing I'm coming in looking at is the three-point shooting. As a team, I believe that I think it was 277th nationally in three-point percentage offensively. Normally, Leon Rice teams are good shooting teams, and last year they had an offensive scheme built around the ability to shoot the ball, and they couldn't shoot the ball. Time and time again, we were coming out of Boise State basketball games saying, well, the Broncos shot 8 for 30 tonight from three-point range. I think the shooting needs to be better. You've got theoretical shooters in there. Andrew Meadow should be a good shooter. Peanut Carmichael should be a good shooter. You've got 2 big men now who should be good shooters. I want to see the three-point shooting be good tonight. Let him go in. Let him look good. That's the biggest thing I'm looking for. This team, I think one of the biggest questions, we'll get to it in the series, is the three-point shooting. I want to see the 3-ball fall tonight.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think this could be, on paper, I mean, you look at some of the guys they have, with Meadow and Carmichael, and I think Buchanan can shoot it well from out there. And you talk about Julian Bowie for sure, and then the big guys that we said can shoot as well. I mean, on paper, I would think this should be a pretty good three-point shooting team.
Yeah, in theory, if they got a 10-man lineup with all of those guys, the only guys we haven't seen as great three-point shooters, Dylan Andrews is okay, and then we haven't seen A.G. Nato shoot at a high level, obviously coming in as a true freshman, but in theory, we've talked through all these guys. You should have 8 guys on this roster who can shoot and probably have 4 of them on the floor at all times who can shoot. It should be better this year. It needs to be better this year. One other thing I'm interested in that I'll briefly mention, Bon Boehm, I believe that's how you pronounce his name, true freshman who came from Lincoln, Nebraska.
Yeah.
He's very intriguing to me.
May not see him till the 10-minute game, but
I don't know how much he's going to play this year, but just watching some of the film, there's a little bit of Abu Ki jab for me in his game, and we've heard stories about his defensive intensity in practice and him bringing it. I'm curious how much run he gets tonight, probably in the 10-minute period, and what he looks like. If I put in the article, if there's a guy who halfway through the year, Leon Rice says this guy's too good, we just have to play him, I think there's a chance it's Bon Boehm. Really good athlete. Really lengthy. I don't know what his wingspan is. They don't give us that information. I would guess he's got a 7-foot wingspan. He's got a legit NBA build. I'm curious to see Bon Boehm tonight, especially because we probably won't see him the rest of this year.
We got to rise for the national anthem here. I guess we'll keep this thing going for a little bit longer. the national anthem here at the Idaho Central Arena ahead of Boise State in Idaho. There you have it, the national anthem. Fans making their way into the arena for Boise State and Idaho here tonight. We got a couple minutes left. I will tell you this, Nathan. Our man Jim Sturk offered me. I went over this afternoon to say hello and grab a couple extra tickets for my family for the football game tomorrow. And he had 2 tickets to the suite tonight for this game. So you and I could have just gone up in I believe it was the KTVB suite, actually. So I don't know if we're welcome up there or not. But we could have had some beverages and food and watched the game over there. Maybe I erred by telling him no thanks.
Yeah, no, I think I left my media credential at home, so I think we'll just have to make our way over there and just go talk to our buddy Jim Sturk.
If there was ever a game to go watch it in a suite and have some food and drink and hang out with folks, this might have been the
it's an exhibition.
Might have been the game. Yeah,
it's an exhibition.
And as I said, we're looking at beer taps right here behind me. I may have to walk over and see if those are turned on or not at some point, but it's a Friday night against Idaho, right? Like, let's have a little fun. But,
yeah. Why not?
What are your final thoughts on tonight's matchup and the start of a big weekend here for Boise State?
Yeah, it's start of basketball season, right? It's right around the corner. First game, I believe November 3rd, and really just looking forward to seeing the team, right? So many questions, right? Alvaro Cardenas, the best passer / point guard in program history, at least single season. We can talk about career or whatnot. And Tyson Dagenhart on the Mount Rushmore, the pantheon of Boise State basketball. How do you replace 2 guys like that? You have some really talented transfers. You've got some, up and coming and emerging newcomers, as well as just solidified guys you've seen before. How does it all mesh? How does it all gel? Very curious to see. Just want to see the team, look good and get a sense of where some of these guys are. I'd love to be able to come out of tonight and say, all right, Ethan Lathan, he's a guy, whereas this guy, maybe he's a year away, right? That's what I'm looking forward to seeing. And it's just enjoying some basketball, man. Basketball is so much fun to cover. There's something about football. It's so you're up in the press box. You've got the opposing team there, 40, 50 media members.
Yeah.
Basketball is a little bit more intimate, a little bit more laid back. I'm excited for basketball season to get going again.
No doubt. Excited for it to be here. He is the host of the TBA podcast, Nathan Carroll. My name is BJ Rains, and again, we appreciate all of you. I did a bad job thanking our sponsors on this show. Of course, Lithia Ford, our pregame sponsor, Jackson's, those 99-cent coffees there, not using the Let's Go Rewards app. ICCU, we're in their arena. Idaho Central Credit Union, make the switch today at ICCU.com. Of course, Taco Bell, and I am starving right now, so I probably will be headed to Taco Bell on the way home after this game as I get set to get ready for the football game later tonight with some work. But the Blue and Orange store, of course, Matt Bauscher. We know Bauscher will be here. Bauscher Real Estate, Transportation Compliance Service, Ridley's Family Markets, Circa Resort and Casino, and, of course, Signature Roofing. All of our great sponsors. Our title sponsor, RowPaint.com. Couldn't do it without Andy Rowe and Company, ROEPaint.com. All your painting needs, make sure you hit up our title sponsor, Andy Rowe and RowPaint.com. It's, as they say, old friend used to say, basketball time in Boise. Excited for this one tonight, Nathan. Should be a lot of fun. About 7 minutes on the clock here. It is going to be over at the top of the hour on, I'm not sure. I apologize. I don't know if it's regular KTVB, KTVB 7.2, KTVB.com, the digital app, KTVB Plus. It is somewhere on
Just
TV
check
tonight.
all your KTVB outlets.
Go try to check that out. And then, of course, we're going to have Meadow getting some footage, and we'll have highlights and a full post-game show tonight after the game. So enjoy the game, everybody. Boise State basketball is back. The Broncos, Idaho, for the first time in more than a decade, battling it out on the hardwood. The last time they met was November 25th, 2014. And, of course, 14 NCAA appearances between them, 10 of those 14 by the Broncos. But Idaho, yes, Idaho, the one team with a NCAA tournament win. The Broncos are obviously going to try to change that this year, but should be fun tonight. Appreciate you guys. Enjoy the game. We'll talk to you on the post-game show. Again, he's Nathan Carroll. I'm BJ Rains. Go subscribe, BroncoNationNews.com. Enjoy the game, and we'll talk to you post-game. The rivalry, it's back. Boise State basketball, it's back. Let's have some fun on a Friday night in downtown Boise. We'll talk to you guys soon.
And final blade of grass. Done. And done. Who knew it'd take 2,007 man-hours to paint 47,962,053 blades of grass? Smells like game day. Whoa, it's not dry yet.